Don Juan Matus was the teacher of Carlos Castaneda. Some say he never existed, and the writings of Castaneda are worthless. I say truth and wisdom are valuable, irrespective of the original source. The following is a collection of Don Juan's teachings. Have a listen, decide for yourself, and leave a comment. Are they of value? Don Juan said, "Self-importance is our greatest enemy. What weakens us is feeling offended by the deeds and misdeeds of our fellow men. Our self-importance requires that we spend most of our lives offended by someone." Shamans have unmasked self-importance and found that it is self-pity, masquerading as something else. As long as a man feels that he is the most important thing in the world, he cannot really appreciate the world around him. He is like a horse with blinders, all he sees is himself, apart from everything else. Feeling important makes one heavy, clumsy, and vain. To be a warrior, one needs to be light and fluid. Dwelling upon the self too much produces a terrible fatigue. A man in that position is deaf and blind to everything else. The fatigue itself makes him cease to see the marvels all around him. The trick is in what one emphasizes. We either make ourselves miserable or we make ourselves strong. The amount of work is the same. People hardly ever realize that we can cut anything from our lives, anytime, just like that. The hardest thing in the world is to assume the mood of a warrior. It is of no use to be sad and complain and feel justified in doing so, believing that someone is always doing something to us. Nobody is doing anything to anybody, much less to a warrior. I am never angry at anybody. No human being can do anything important enough for that. You get angry at people when you feel that their acts are important. I don't feel that way any longer. The world of people goes up and down, and people go up and down with their world. Warriors have no business following the ups and downs of their fellow men. Be fluid, at ease in whatever situation you find yourself. Your challenge is to deal with people with ease, regardless of what they do to you. The thrust of the warrior's way is to dethrone self-importance. Everything warriors do is directed toward accomplishing this goal. To be a warrior is not a simple matter of wishing to be one. It is rather an endless struggle that will go on to the very last moment of our lives. Nobody is born a warrior, in exactly the same way that nobody is born an average man. We make ourselves into one or the other. If his spirit is distorted, he should simply fix it, purge it, make it perfect, because there is no other task in our entire lives which is more worthwhile. To seek the perfection of the warrior's spirit is the only task worthy of our temporariness, our manhood. A warrior takes responsibility for his acts, for the most trivial of acts. An average man acts out his thoughts, and never takes responsibility for what he does. An average man is too concerned with liking people, or with being liked himself. A warrior likes, that's all. He likes whatever, or whomever he wants, for the hell of it. Whenever a warrior decides to do something, he must go all the way, but he must take responsibility for what he does. No matter what he does, he must know first why he is doing it, and then he must proceed with his actions without having doubts or remorse about them. The warrior's way offers a man a new life, and that life has to be completely new. He can't bring to that new life his ugly, old ways. It isn't that a warrior learns shamanism as time goes by, rather, what he learns as time goes by is to save energy. This energy will enable him to handle some of the energy fields which are ordinarily inaccessible to him. Shamanism is a state of awareness, the ability to use energy fields that are not employed in perceiving the everyday life world that we know. The instant one begins to live like a warrior, one is no longer ordinary. It is meaningless to complain. What's important from this point on is the strategy of your life. A warrior acknowledges his pain, but he doesn't indulge in it. Never dwell on past events, except in reference. To emphasize them would mean to take away from the importance of what's taking place now. A warrior cannot possibly afford to do that. A warrior touches the world around him sparingly. And above all, he deliberately avoids exhausting himself and others. He doesn't use and squeeze people until they have shriveled to nothing, especially the people he loves. Everything in a warrior's world depends on personal power, and personal power depends on impeccability. Part of being impeccable for a warrior is never to hinder others with his thoughts. When a man embarks on the warrior's path, he becomes aware, in a gradual manner, that ordinary life has been left forever behind. The means of the ordinary world are no longer a buffer to him, and he must adopt a new way of life if he is going to survive. We talk to ourselves incessantly about our world. In fact, we maintain our world with our internal talk. And whenever we finish talking to ourselves, about ourselves and our world, the world is always as it should be. We renew it, we rekindle it with life, we uphold it with our internal talk. Not only that, but we also choose our paths as we talk to ourselves. Thus we repeat the same choices over and over until the day we die, because we keep on repeating the same internal talk until the day we die. A warrior is aware of this, and strives to stop his internal talk. The way to stop talking to ourselves is to use exactly the same method used to teach us to talk to ourselves. We were taught compulsively and unwaveringly, and this is the way we must stop it, compulsively and unwaveringly. The internal dialogue is what grounds us. The world is such and such, or so and so, only because we talk to ourselves about its being this way. The passageway into the world of the warrior opens up after the warrior has learned to shut off the internal dialogue. Whenever the internal dialogue stops, the world collapses, and extraordinary facets of ourselves surface, as though they had been kept heavily guarded by our words. When a warrior learns to stop the internal dialogue, everything becomes possible, the most far-fetched schemes become attainable. Inner silence works from the moment you begin to accrue it. What the old sorcerers were after was the final dramatic end result of reaching that individual threshold of silence. Some very talented practitioners need only a few minutes of silence to reach that coveted goal. Others, less talented, need long periods of silence, perhaps more than 1 hour of quietude, before they reach the desired result. The desired result is what the old sorcerers called stopping the world, the moment when everything around us ceases to be what it's always been. This is the moment when sorcerers return to the true nature of man. The old sorcerers always called it total freedom. A warrior's love is the world. He embraces this enormous earth. The earth knows that he loves it, and it bestows on him its care. That's why his life is filled to the brim, and his state, wherever he'll be, will be plentiful. He roams on the paths of his love, and, wherever he is complete. Anything is one of a million paths. Therefore, a warrior must always keep in mind that a path is only a path. If he feels that he should not follow it, he must not stay with it under any conditions. His decision to keep on that path or to leave it must be free of fear or ambition. He must look at every path closely and deliberately. There is one question that a warrior has to ask. Does this path have a heart?